Welcome to 3-Minute Bible Exercise. Join me for a 3-minute journey through the Bible with mind mapping to uplift your spirits. Let's dive into today's reading together.
Overview of 1 Corinthians. Hello everyone, welcome to 3-Minute Bible Study. I'm Max, and today we're going to explore 1 Corinthians. Background: Corinth was a bustling commercial city, diverse in population and rich in culture. However, it was also rife with moral corruption and religious syncretism. The church in Corinth was established by Paul during his second missionary journey, see Acts 18. After Paul's departure, the church faced many issues, including divisions, moral problems, and misunderstandings of Christian doctrine. Summary of content. 1. Church divisions, chapters 1-4. Paul addresses the issue of divisions within the church. Members were forming factions, each following different leaders, such as Paul, Apollos, Cephas. Paul emphasizes that Christ is the only foundation of the church and urges believers to unite in Christ. 2. Moral and ethical issues, chapters 5-7. Paul points out the moral corruption in the church, including issues of incest, chapter 5, and lawsuits among believers, chapter 6. He calls for strict disciplinary action against sin and provides teachings on marriage, singleness, and chastity, chapter 7. 3. Food offered to idols and Christian freedom, chapters 8-10. Paul discusses the issue of eating food offered to idols. Chapter. He stresses Christian freedom, but also reminds believers to consider the consciences of others and not to cause them to stumble. Chapters 9-10. 4. Public worship and spiritual gifts. Chapters 11-14. Paul gives guidance on public worship, including the role of women in the church. Chapter 11. The proper observance of the Lord's Supper. Chapter 11. And the use of spiritual gifts. Chapters 12-14. He particularly emphasizes the importance of love, calling it the greatest gift. Chapter 13. 5. Resurrection. Chapter 15. Paul provides a detailed explanation of the resurrection of Christ and the resurrection of believers. Chapter 15. He argues that the resurrection is the core of Christian faith. Without it, faith is in vain. 6. Conclusion. Chapter 16. In the final chapter, Paul discusses contributions, his personal plans, and expresses his concern and blessings for the church members. Chapter 16. Main themes. 1. Centrality of Christ. Paul consistently emphasizes that Christ is the center of faith and the foundation of the church. 2. Importance of love. Love is the guiding principle for believers' actions, surpassing all other spiritual gifts. 3. Unity of the church. Believers should be united in Christ, avoiding divisions and disputes. 4. Moral purity. Christians are called to live holy lives, avoiding moral corruption. 5. Hope of resurrection. Christ's resurrection guarantees the resurrection and eternal hope for believers. 1 Corinthians offers valuable teachings and guidance on how Christians can live in a culturally diverse and morally challenging environment. It addresses specific problems of the time, but also provides timeless principles and wisdom for today's church and believers.
Heavenly Father, we praise your mighty works and thank you for your endless love. May your grace continue to guide us and keep us in your peace. Amen.